My name is Michael Schwager. I'm the curator here at the Rosa Preserve in Napa, and we are standing in the main gallery of the preserve, which houses the largest group of works in the collection. When you come to the preserve, you are really entering into the world of Rene di Rosa and his collection, a collection that is now well over 2,000 objects in all media by over 900 artists, all of whom have lived and worked at one time or another in the San Francisco Bay Area. Rene is probably one of the most renowned collectors in the Bay Area and has focused his attention on artists of this region his entire career as a collector, which spans now more than 40 years. The preserve opened to the public in 1997, so we've been open 11 years now, and has about 215 acres of land, including 3 buildings where art is exhibited, the Gatehouse Gallery, the main gallery, and Rene's former house. Another place to see art here at the preserve is the sculpture meadow, which is behind the main gallery, and we have trails that run throughout the sculpture meadow, and the tours take visitors through the sculpture meadow in the spring and fall of each year. And Rene has always had a great love of outdoor sculpture, both large scale and smaller scale. So the preserve really houses work both indoors and outdoors in this vast setting. Right after World War II, Rene spent some time in Paris, and he made an attempt to write what he calls the great American novel. He was a journalism major at Yale and always had a passion for writing. That didn't work out, but it taught Rene just how amazing artists are, and he devoted his life at that point to supporting artists if he couldn't be one himself. When he came to the Bay Area, Rene decided to, when he moved to this property in Napa, he would begin to grow grapes. And he took classes in viticulture at UC Davis. While Rene was there, he found the art department quite by accident and began meeting these seminal artists in the region: Roy DeForest, Robert Arneson, William Wiley, Wayne Thiebaud. And Rene fell in love with their work and fell in love with their aesthetic, and he felt it was so refreshing. It was so different what he was seeing in the galleries back east. And Rene decided that would be, these artists were people he wanted to commit to and he wanted to support. And his collection for the last 40 plus years has focused on those core artists, as well as a number of artists he's discovered in the intervening years, all of whom are Bay Area artists. What I think is remarkable about Rene's collection is just how varied and how deep it really is. Rene has never shied away from difficult works of a political nature, along with works that are more whimsical and more humorous, works that bring a smile rather than make one think about more serious ideas. There are pieces in the collection by artists like Richard Carter that are quite arresting, quite profound, and there are works by artists such as Enrique Chagoya that are quite thoughtful and political, and there are works that celebrate color and celebrate form, works by Tom Holland, for example. Along with a lot of artists who are lesser known to the public, there are a lot of household names, works by Joan Brown, for example, major pieces by William T. Wiley, Robert Hudson, Robert Arneson, Roy DeForest, David Best. Walking through the main gallery houses about 800 works of art and allows the visitor to get a full sense of the range of the collection, as well as a range of the artists, movements, and styles that have been in the Bay Area since the 1960s when Rene began collecting. From the beginning, I think the goals of the preserve have been sort of multiple. One is to capture the history of this region and to show the incredible works of art that have been produced by Bay Area artists and make that available for the public to really show people how remarkable this region is and how it really holds its own against other regions in the country. Another goal that Preserve has always had and continues to have is to support emerging artists, to make sure that artists who are finishing school and coming into the art world know that there's a place that supports young and emerging artists, and that their work hopefully will end up in a place like the Preserve, and it'll be there for people to see into the future. Several times a year we have exhibitions of artists who are not yet in the collection of the Preserve, and we do different thematic shows, such as the current show in the Gatehouse titled there, New Art from Oakland, that looks at different artists throughout the region and gives them an opportunity to show their work in the context of other Bay Area artists throughout the last 40 years. Oakland has, in the last few years, really been recognized as this vital, exciting, growing art community. It used to be a place where artists would go to school, live for a while, and then move to San Francisco or elsewhere. And in the last few years, that whole trend has been reversed. Artists are coming to Oakland to live. There's an incredible energy. There are so many different activities around the visual arts community that has totally changed the reputation of Oakland as an art center. And I really wanted to explore that. One of the phrases that kept coming up in talking to Oakland artists was the phrase, do it yourself. And I think that does define Oakland in many ways, particularly in the art world that's grown up, that these artists didn't wait for San Francisco or Los Angeles or New York to come and discover them. They opened their own galleries. And I think that also translated into some of the work I saw, where artists like Monica Canaleo, who's right behind me, uses a lot of found materials, and she uses all different kinds of methods. She does drawing, she does painting, she does sewing, she uses found objects, and it's sort of what's available to the artists in front of them. The artists aren't worried about creating works that are maybe timeless, that mimic what you might find in a gallery in Chelsea or in Los Angeles, but rather that it reflects their own experience. The range of artists that I found in Oakland was quite incredible and quite inspiring, and the difference in their approaches is always sort of invigorating. So, for example, an artist named Obi Kaufman was one of the artists who I saw early on in my research. The work that I included in the exhibition was a series he did on language, and so he combines kind of a graffiti style with markings that mimic Arabic writing, and he's interested in the way that language is sort of an arbitrary system of signs and symbols that then convey meaning. Fabiana Rodriguez is primarily known as a community, a political artist, community activist. She does, one of her main approaches is the political poster, and it naturally has a combination of image and text, and that's a powerful way to get your message across. And Fabiana does not shy away from addressing issues that are important to her and important to her community. There's a piece by Samantha Lautman in the exhibition, which is a page from an Oakland phone book, and it's an entirely text-based piece, quite an interesting piece. And the story behind that was when Samantha was a student at CCAC in Oakland, she discovered a series of old phone books in the printmaking studio. So she turned to the page where her name would appear. This was 1979, and of course she was either too young, or I'm not sure if she was just born that year, but her name did not appear in that page. So she took that page and made a photo transfer of it and printed that as an etching. One of the artists in the exhibition who presents sort of a group of her pieces is Gabrielle Wolodarski. She goes by Gabby. She's represented by 19 small paintings in the show, and some of the paintings are as small as 1 inch square, and some of them are a bit more traditional in size. All of them represent Gabby's kind of reflections on the landscape or the cityscape and her recollections of Oakland. They're mostly done from memory, and if you look at the small, intimate little paintings, the 1 inch square paintings, you will see the Oakland waterfront, the Oakland hills, images of downtown Oakland rendered in this sort of Renaissance miniature style. So they're almost like a kind of a love poem to Oakland, and also I think reflects a certain informality, the way she presents her work, that I found in other artists' work. Mark Inglis Taylor has a collection of about 25 drawings and small objects. And Mark, when I visited his studio, had been putting up things on the wall as he created them. And when I asked him about how he wanted his work presented, he said, I want it in the same fashion. I'd like my work to kind of be seen as a sort of informal, growing idea. So in Gabby's case, each one of the paintings is an individual work. In Mark Taylor's case, each piece is part of the whole. And that's the 25 or so drawings make up one object. Catherine Westerhut is the one photographer represented in the exhibition, and she's someone who does a lot of traveling outside of the area. She is interested in documenting buildings that have been abandoned, and often buildings that are historically important buildings. But she found these a number of sort of haunting images of places where people gathered for lunch, or people spent time together, and now it's completely abandoned. So there's a sense of memory in a number of artists in the exhibition. The goal of the exhibition from the very beginning has been to reveal this great range of talented artists living and working in Oakland. For the most part, they are not well known to our audience in Napa and to many people throughout the Bay Area. And so I hope that visitors come away from the exhibition with a sense of this vitality, this energy, this sense that that Oakland is a place that is not just what people hear about in the news and in the headlines, but a place of creativity, a place where artists are supported and support themselves and support one another. And there is quite a range of different ideas and styles and materials coming out of Oakland. So I do hope people get a sense of that range and diversity that's happening in Oakland.